Hi, Gregor here on a new Let's Play Solo. Last session, our fearless and peerless party had just dipped its toe, just a tiny bit into the dungeon, finding the first room was unoccupied. Um, but undoubtedly, there are plenty of things down there which will attempt to kill them. However, before we continue our exploration of the dungeon, I wanted to pass on a couple quick tips. Um, First, let's start with Fantasy Grounds. I wanted to talk just quickly about a setting. When I loaded in this screen here, my character sheets were all in place on the side. The map was already open. The combat tracker was all there, and that was all because of this one setting right here, Desktop Restore Windows on Start. There is one little gotcha. You usually want it on. You need to expand the screen to the size it was before, because if it's smaller, it'll cram them all together. So that kind of defeats the purpose. So make sure you expand your Fantasy Grounds up to the same size as it was before you start it. All right, the next thing I wanted to talk about was characters. Obviously, we're not going to be doing a lot of role playing with solo play. It's mostly just going to be rolling skill checks and stuff like that. However, I did want to point out in the 2014 rules, they have these personalities, ideals, flaws, bonds, and flaws, which are all based out of the backgrounds. If you scroll all the way down, you can roll off these tables for each of those and then just drag and drop the text right into the character sheet. So it's really easy to do, and one of the things, it'll help you get an idea on what these characters are, and even if you roll one that you don't like, that tells you something about the character, pick another one, right? That means you're not feeling it. Let's see, the other thing I wanted to talk a little bit about was the tiles. These particular tiles are, let's get over to DM side. There we go. Are very bland, and the reason they're very bland was because I wanted the descriptive text to make a difference. One of the problems you face with geomorphic tiles is if you make the tiles too distinct, then they stand out in their mind. And in this case, I wanted to make sure that the descriptive tables were the ones that where people are thinking about. It's still a little bit of a reach, but that's the way I did it. The last thing was just briefly about the quick start solo play. I looked it up. It is on DM's Guild, and also there's a Christmas in July sale. I think this thing is $3 right now. So if you're interested in it, this would be a good time to pick it up. I don't have any. I bought this thing probably as part of a bundle. Well, I bought it a while back. So there you go. Today we're going to show a little bit about it, and so you can make a judgment if you want to pick it up. But it's hard to turn something down for $3 if you think you're going to use it at all. All right, so we're back on the quick start generator. One other quick thing, I've already hotkeyed a lot of the tables I'm going to roll on. As we find some of these things, I'll actually might talk a little bit about the tables. So let's get exploring. So there we are, we've made it. We're downstairs. Switch over to DM view. I'm getting ready to explore. So one of the things I'm going to do is I'm going to put my table in a square. This dungeon, particular dungeon set of tiles, is pretty much 10 by 10, which means if I put the party in a 10 by 10, then I select them all with mass selection. Then I can just move them around using the arrow keys. And notice how they all move to square. So let's go ahead and roll a 4 die to say which 4 direction they actually go. They decide after much discussion, and we'll start top and then clockwise. So 1, 2, 3. They decide that clearly coming in from the opposite way from the stairs is the way to explore. So the way we explore, and by the way, one of the advantages of Fantasy Grounds solo play is, and why I started with a 4-way start tile, is we can zoom out and expand the dungeon infinitely in all directions. So I took advantage of that with the 4-way start. So, having used these tables before, I'm going to roll a pair of 20 dice. The first one will determine the tile, and then once we determine the tile, the second dice will determine what's the table. So let's go ahead and show you how that works. So I have got a 15 and a 2. So we look down on this table, and the blue one is the average one. That's the one I'll be using. 15 is a left chamber, basically an L left chamber. I name my tiles a little differently, but it's a left turn chamber. And then what we'll do is we'll go up here and we'll go to the chambers. And the next roll is a 2, which means there's nothing in there. So let's build this out. So we need a left chamber. The way these tiles are done, they're in order. So we need a 2, RD2. And there it is. There's a left chamber. Now, everything is proportion to the way the party is moving. The party's entry point is going to be this. From the party's point of view, they're going to turn left. So let's go ahead and drop this down here. Oops. I hate it when it moves the map. Let's drop it here. And if you grab this little circle, so the party's heading south. Oops, that's right. Huh. All right, well, I got the wrong tile, but you guys know you can just flip these things. So now the party's heading left. And let's get a description of this tile. Oh, yeah, see, I grabbed the right exit. I wanted the left exit. All right, but anyway, the descriptions are the same for both of the chambers. All right, so our guys. Oops, I closed the wrong one. Story. There it is. There it is. So I'm not really gonna bother numbering most of these. That one. Come on. Oh, I'm not in play mode. There we go. So, so it's got a black granite floor, streaks of blood. All right, my guys are getting paranoid already. Other circles. Okay, so now that my guys are thoroughly paranoid, they will immediately spend lots of time searching this room. That's clearly over here is the clock time, which I'll be used to keeping track of time. In this case, this is how many minutes. These guys are going to spend at least a minute looking around in here. All right, now that we've got these guys thoroughly paranoid, there's only one way to go. So they have a choice. They can try to explore the start, the other direction, or continue this way. Being bold and brave adventurers, they decide. Let's make this low. So we technically have 4 ways they could go, right? Backtracking large distances is not good because it causes random monster checks. So you wouldn't usually want to do a lot of backtracking. In this case, it looks like it might connect even, so I'm going to head forward. So my bold and brave adventurers advance boldly. Notice how the line of sight's working, and one of the things about this square formation, when I actually get into a combat, I'll rearrange them to the front line, so the front line's up front. But in this type of square, I can move them in all directions and not have to mess with them until they actually find something. So let's pull up our thing again, and so once again, it's a 20 die, first to determine the tile, then to determine what it's on, plus then we'll do the description of the tile. Okay, so we ended up, wow, that looked different, didn't it? So we got a 12 and a 1. So I can tell you right now that less than 12s are pretty much no encounters. But let's bring this up. So let's get back to the start. Remember, you can click on the quick reference, and it's right here. One page past the quick reference is the general tile table. So we got a 12. So our 12 is a straight hall with obstacles. Okay, so we're going to do obstacles. That's great. Let's do, so straight, so let's do the hall and I'll talk a little bit. Let's move it over. Let's grab the tiles back. And I keep trying to creep up so I can't get to the index. All right, so we want a straight tile, which is a 2, RD-2, because there's two ways into the tile. There it is. This goes there. I'll rotate it. Okay, so let's get a description of this thing because it's going to get weird for these guys. So our description on the straight hall is this. And let's drag this down before I lose it. All right, so it's a limestone floor. So they're already paranoid because they go from granite to limestone. And they have barrel vaulted ceilings. You can look up all these. I'm not going to spend the time describing what these all mean. Lord and Trails did a good job on these things. But basically, it's a curved ceiling running the long way of the hall. All right, now we hit an obstacle, and let's talk just a second about obstacles. The guy who did this, Jay Evans Payne, I like his obstacles. I'm going to tell you this right now. I think they're a little limited, and I took a different approach, so I'm not going to spoil his obstacles. I do think it's a great idea, and it's almost worth getting it for $3 just on the obstacle idea. The idea of an obstacle, it's something that's different. It's not a combat encounter per se, but it's something you have to overcome to move further down. So basically, the obstacle is blocking that hall. I'm going to use something a little different. I'm going to use something called a challenge. The idea is the same though. In order to continue down this hallway, these characters must overcome the challenge. Now, the challenge to them occurs when they are walking down the hallway past this point. So suddenly they find themselves individually standing on a cliff. Oh no, actually this is a different one. This is the Safe Path Challenge. I wrote all of these looking for something different, something to help make the dungeon a little bit more memorable. So each of these guys find themselves deep in a dark dungeon. They hear faint whispers that tell the safe path. Unfortunately, they can't quite make out which way they should go, unless, of course, they make their DC 11 perception check. Now, these things scale. So this is meant for a first and second level, or first and second level party. So the DCs are low. Also, the challenges are loosely based on the 4E versions of those, which, like a lot of 4E ideas, was good idea, bad execution. They tended to lag on, take forever. This is a one and done. So these guys, the way the challenge works is half the party must complete it for them to go on. They can try again, of course, but so let's bring up the party sheet and set this up. So it's a perception challenge. So we'll set the skill to perception. And this is a party sheet. And the DC here is quite low. It's 11. Part of the things for challenges is it's to help those skill monkeys feel good that they invested some skill points in it. Now, when I'm looking, I have a 5-man party. I need 3. If you have a 4-man party, you need 2. Okay. So let's see how they did. All right, so we've got we've got 1 success, 2 success, 3 success. Okay, so they pass. That's good. Now, there is the consequence if you fail, and I did have some failures, and that's where the takes 1d3 necrotic damage. Um, so I can roll a d3 and do that. As a lot of you probably know, the d6 has a whole bunch of weird dice on them, and one of which is d3s. In this case, we're using one of those. Oops, even though I clicked two. So let's try it again. There. So that's the first guy who failed, and then I need one more. Oh, we got a 1. All right, that's good for him. And this guy, the second guy who failed, oops, I got a D2. Man, I can't roll today. Here, I'll do it manually. The heck with it. All right, so that's a 2. All right, so our first lucky failure was the mage. Poor guy. All right, so he takes 1 point. Oops. Apparently I didn't clear out all these when I was messing around. Set things up. All right, so the next guy took 2. So who's our next failure? Failure. Oh, there it is. The rogue. One of the things I wanted to do with the skill challenge was to get a wide variety of skill checks, not just, athletics and acrobatics, which are by far the most popular. All right. Because this thing persists and they may have to overcome it on the way back, I am actually going to go ahead and create an NPC to handle this. So let's go. I'll just use catalog, create a new one. We're going to call this a safe path challenge. Challenge. And then we're just going to go down here and make it an action. And then I'm just going to drag and drop this into here. All right, so I've now made a safe path challenge. So let's lock this sucker. I'm going to pin it right here in the middle. So that's where, if they have to come back, so they passed it. When they pass it, that means they're on the other side. So sometimes, though, it's not necessarily, they've kind of trapped themselves, because to leave that way, now they have to go through the challenge again. If they had failed, I would have turned them around and had them facing back the other way. So they start talking about their whispers in the dark, and that's the whole point of these things. It's a memorable experience for the players as well as the characters. All right, so now suddenly, with our back to the challenge, our guys are the stakes have risen a little bit, and they're ready. They're okay. They're okay. That was my first encounter. I really only wanted to do one encounter, but that one happened so quickly. I think I'll go a little bit longer. So let's head back to our solo adventures, and let's toss a couple more d20s. All right, so they have overcome the safe pass, whispers in the dark. All right, so 10. That's still going to be a no encounter, though. So let's take a look at our 10 it's a dead end. They're going to have to go through that challenge again already. One of the things is, obviously, if you have too many dead ends, it'll end your experience in a dungeon. This isn't too bad for this type of play, because you just start another dungeon, which really is pretty easy. So let's go find our dead end tile and find out what the description is. So the index, and then we want the dead end. Dead ends, by the way, are 1s, because there's only one opening in the geomorph. And this is a dead end hallway, I believe, wasn't it? What did we roll? A 10? Yeah, dead end hallway. As opposed to a chamber. Now, when I did these tiles, I also made rooms. The solo one only has chambers, which are doorless rooms, pretty much. Let's find out what the description of this thing is, though. Then let's find out if there's something horrible in there. Backs to the challenge. What does our party face? But let's find out what this place looks like. Oh. Oops, I did a room. I didn't want to do a room. Hall. Is that a typo? Yeah. There's a room which has, as you can see, has some different things. It's got doors and stuff. I'm not gonna, this particular dungeon, I'm probably not gonna, at least on this level, gonna use the rooms. Alright, so, back to play mode. So we got the rusty iron plate. So these guys, oh yeah, so if they were paranoid before, right in front of them, they see a bunch of rusty plates. So they immediately start looking for traps. And is there a trap there? Let's go find out what the encounter is. This is a hall encounter. So let's go back to our hallways. And we rolled a 12 as we did before. And yeah, so we double checked. There's nothing here. Pretty much, by the way, 12, it varies. Some of the tiles have a higher chance of nothing than others. So I was pretty sure 12 wasn't an encounter, but you can see it's a 1 to 14 on the hallways. Now, actually, let's make sure that let's make sure that, oh yeah, there is a dead end one. I thought so. Yeah, okay. 1 to 12 still skins by. All right. So there they are. Wow. Naturally, they talk about whether they should really go down there and check it out, but you know they're brave adventurers. They'll finally do it, and then of course they'll check to make sure there's not a secret door, but we know there isn't. But they'll spend some time down here, so I'll go ahead and click off a couple minutes. And then we must head back. Now notice by keeping this square shape, I can move in all directions. All right, so that's been helpful. Though it looks like I broke the when I was clicking, so we'll reselect them, and then we'll move them. Now they're going to have to get through this challenge. The challenges are meant sometimes to go through a couple times, which is one of the reasons their damage is so low, and their DCs are lower too because they're a group challenge. So we can bring this up, and we need 11 though. It's still set up for the on the party sheet though, right? So we can just roll this. They're looking to get past. They need 3. Well, they don't start off well. 1, 2, 3. Yep, this time the rogue got it. But unfortunately, it looks like our one of our fighters and our mage blew it. So they'll take a little bit of damage. And I'm not gonna bother. So I'm rolling the d6s as d3. So 1, 2. Oh wow. So they each take 1 damage. So they're getting apparently listening in the dark. So our mage is up to moderately wounded here, and the that was the one of the fighters, Dragonborn. All right, wow. So thus far, this dusty place is only full of monsters. So I'm gonna zip on back. Now there's some rules for how many in using the solo. In this case, we went 1, 2, 3. The next one that we passed by that we already have, we'll have to force a random monster check. But we have made it back safely. This probably is a good time to launch the video, as once again we have 3 ways to go. We've shown a challenge and a little bit how these the solo thing works. So it's pretty much roll a d20, see what's in there, roll a d20, and like I said, once you get used to it, I can tell at a glance that like if my second dice roll is like 10 or less, it's probably not an encounter. So you can just place the tiles and move pretty quickly. All right, well, I'll see you in the next video.